Every so often, a show comes along that masterfully navigates the art of build-up, weaving in plot threads so tantalizing that each episode leaves you begging for more, almost beckoning you at the end each time the final line is uttered, all the way up to the climax. Alien Earth is not one of those shows. Up till now, the way this story has been handled is anything but smooth, consistent, and enjoyable. It's been rough, jerky, and the kind of storytelling that leaves the viewer thoroughly unsatisfied every time the credits roll. But as with most things in life, one can always hope for improvement, even if it's a long shot. So will Alien Earth give us the happy ending we all deserve? Or will it just continue to tease us with great ideas and never follow through? We open up with Raj in his room along with the recently face-fucked low sperm count Arthur.
Fuckface.
If you recall, we last left off with one of these two dragging the other through a conveniently human-sized ventilation duct in order to escape the lab. Well, that vent seems to have not only gone through the magical gap between episodes, it also led directly into this room because somehow he wasn't caught. So much for that added security because literally no one is watching the cameras or even bothering to do any spot checks. While Raj is shoving Spermy under his bed, Jerome comes knocking, presumably to collect on the promise that Raj made to play with him. But instead he discovers the person who was basically his surrogate father figure on the floor. Obviously he's freaked out and wants to know what the fuck happened, and since Raj is about as convincing as a 1970s toupee, he's unable to calm Jerome down and instead turns to gaslighting.
You would have to blackmail or whatever you call it, dead mother, dead brothers, dead everyone. Will you help me?
In the lab, Billy Idlefit is surveying the damage done and locking down the specimens as best he can in order to allow the humans to come in and capture the flies, which are still out of containment. Not really sure why he doesn't just do it since he's already in there, but whatever. As this goes on, Peter Pansexual watches with a horny look on his face, completely unfazed by the fact his irreplaceable multi-billion-dollar hybrid lies dead at their feet.
Organic matter must have been scarce in their world, so they eat mostly minerals.
There goes that 6 billion. No more kids in the lab.
Except Wendy.
Yeah, of course.
Though I guess this is an understandable reaction considering this particular hybrid was too retarded to just slide the tray in and shut the fucking door. There is also zero explanation as to why these flies didn't just eat their cage if they have a diet consisting exclusively of minerals, which seems like a massive oversight. It's very obvious that Billy is over this both in story and real life, and honestly, can you blame him? Reviewing the security footage, because apparently they now remember that that's a thing, they see that Sheepo Gorath is clearly more intelligent than they originally believed. But before they could test that theory, Wendy shows up as if she was simply waiting off screen for her cue, since there is absolutely no reason for her to be here right now.
What happened to Isaac?
Science.
That's a great fucking non-answer. While we're at it, I have a couple other questions. What happened to the Hindenburg?
Science.
How about Chernobyl?
Science.
And you know what, while we're at it, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Science!
Well, back to this technological tragedy. Wendy, confused over what she's seeing, grapples with the idea that perhaps they aren't quite as indestructible as she originally thought.
No, we can't. We're premium.
Don't.
She, of all, people, should know that this is not true. Considering just a few episodes ago, it was her that was nearly at death's door. But that would require that the script have some goddamn memory or attention, which is clearly not the case. Despite the efforts of Peter Pansexual to calm her down, she realizes that she and the rest of the hybrids are definitely in danger.
We're not safe.
She then uses her xenolinguistic skills to create a distraction before she storms off to her room. Funny how we've been shown multiple times that Xenos in this show can break welded doors and any other window, but this special glass is a problem. As she leaves, they make a startling, unexpected discovery.
Someone turned their trackers off.
Fuck! So here, hold on. Here's a novel idea. Turn them the fuck on. Joe arrives at Wendy's room and the two discuss the situation about TBD's death. And Joe reiterates that they need to get off the island.
Can't they track us?
No, not anymore. Arthur.
Hey! Whoa!
Which just further hammers home that the added security isn't worth shit because someone should have noticed this by now. Wendy decides that not only are they going to try to escape, but they're going to take all the other hybrids with them.
You'll be the first to die, but I like your enthusiasm.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Despite Joe's protests about their limited window of opportunity, Wendy refuses to go without them. Hilariously, not even an hour ago, she declined to leave, which means that Joe was so convinced that something would conveniently change her mind that he went ahead and mapped out an escape route anyway. It's almost like it was all predetermined and the character knew it already.
Would you leave without me?
No, of course not.
I'm not so sure this is true. He seemed like he was gonna get the fuck out of Dodge either way at this point. The first one they attempt to collect is Carrot Top, who is being consoled by Wheels over her recent memory wipe.
I've got all my mind. Nobody's messing with my insides.
Wendy and Wheels argue over the motivations of Peter and Prodigy as a whole, and Carrot Top decides she wants to leave.
We're all gonna die here, and then the bugs will crawl in and we'll all be ghosts. I don't want to be a ghost.
Well, that was pretty goddamn easy. Funny how she shouldn't remember this, but does. Wheels refuses to go, despite the fact she's surrounded by armed guards and deadly illegal aliens.
I'm deeply hurt.
This is the best place I've ever been.
Shit, where the fuck did she live before this? Los Angeles? Wendy makes Wheels promise not to sell her out, which, you know, I'm sure she's not gonna do that at all.
We are so fucked.
Before she goes on to use her forgotten sleeping dog's hacking ability to unlock the creatures. Peter Pansexual and Billy Idlefant go to interrogate Dr. Cougar about her husband, but since she's the worst wife ever, she not only has no idea where he is, but barely seems to give a shit at all about any of this. But because this script is written with the Idiot's Guide to Screenwriting, Peter gets no answers because before he can, he's summoned away due to the Xeno rampage. Boring. While that shit's happening, Raj and Jerome have somehow evaded every patrol and are close to leaving the facility with Spermie's body. Why they're struggling to carry this 160-pound Tom Green look-alike is beyond me, as they're both supposed to be super strong, but it's not like consistency has mattered up to this point anyway. However, before they can exit, they are stopped by Billy Idlefant, who questions them.
What are you doing?
The man from the ship. He's been talking to me.
I know that. I mean, what are you doing going that way?
What's this dude's motivation? It seems like it's all over the goddamn place.
Fuck if I know.
He's loyal, he's not, he loves the kids, he hates the kids, Morrow is a rival until he's not. Seriously, pick a fucking lane. Out in the jungle, Joe, Wendy, and Carrot Top come across the graves of the children's human bodies. You'd think that this discovery would come with some sort of epiphany, but out of all the scenes, this is the one we barely get any conversation. We don't even get anything in the way of visual cues. Instead, we just get this emotional dissonance as Wendy stares blankly off into the distance, as though she's waiting to be told how to feel. Is she realizing she's not actually Marcy? Is she angry, sad, relieved? We don't fucking know because she doesn't give us anything. The one time when we would have benefited from her getting emotional and over-explaining, and they chose not to. Elsewhere in the jungle, we rejoin Raj and Jerome, who are still struggling to carry an extremely underweight, I guess we'll call him a man.
He looked like a man.
When they notice that one of the patrols is coming their way. What follows is so comically stupid, I wish I was making it up. Because in order to hide, they run approximately 8 feet, drop Spermie's body right out in the open, and barely hide behind a bush. And because these are the worst soldiers ever, they not only fail to hear any of this, but not a single one of them even looks in that direction. Which maybe I could have overlooked if it wasn't for the fact that in that 10-second window, Spermie woke up and somehow climbed a goddamn tree. Not only pulling this off with every soldier failing to see him do it, but also neither of the hyper-aware hybrids who were right the fuck next to him either. As the two retards search for Spermie's body, the dead facehugger falls from above, scaring the utter synthetic shit out of them. Spermie then re-emerges in a spot they just checked with no memory of what happened to him. Instead of just coming clean to the only person who probably ever gave two shits about them, they concoct a lie about poisonous gas and Spermie's wife being on the beach, which makes about as much sense as asking for change of a nickel.
Confusion is a side effect of the gas.
But as they wander toward their destination, Spermie's amnesia slowly wears off, and despite Raj and Jerome's insistence, he's able to sniff out their bullshit.
Children have to learn how to lie, and you two are still learning.
Promising to help them if they return to the lab, I guess he still doesn't remember that his ass got canned, they turn to walk back just as, well, you know the drill.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Boring. As Jerome sits there in shock over what just happened, Raj slowly morphs into an angry phone scammer.
What did you do?
No! Why did you redeem it?
He then grabs the carcass because apparently he believes, fuck it, this is good enough. In Dr. Widow's office, we see Wheels come for a shoulder to cry on. Not much is said, but it does call to mind that earlier in the show they hinted at a rivalry between her and Wendy that literally went nowhere and hasn't been mentioned since. So just toss that onto the pile of wasted plot threads. Well, with that brief nothingness over, we cut back to Jerome and Raj still dragging Spermie's dead body through the jungle. Despite the many times we've been told that they are in a hurry, they still seem to have had enough time to stop, cut up wood, and fashion a goddamn raft for some reason. Normally this would have made a ton of sense if these two were humans with standard biological fatigue and physical restrictions. But once again, they and the word assemblers seem to have forgotten that they are machines with super strength and near limitless stamina. Just toss the vegan barista looking motherfucker up onto your shoulder and run really fast. We already were shown that they can do this earlier in the show when Wendy ran along the beach. Why are you wasting so much time? In fact, they could have gotten here hours ago with the facehugger still attached. As they arrive at an alcove, we see the goddamn Wayland-Yutani Navy SEALs arrive, led by Morrow. I'd make a joke about how this shouldn't be possible because of the added security, but as we've seen, that shit doesn't matter. I just find it kind of funny that this group of elite commandos is being led by an out-of-shape security guard. They're all probably super fit dudes with 5% body fat, and as we've seen with Morrow previously, well, not so much. Not saying he's the fattest guy we've ever seen, but I mean, come on.
One of these things is not like the others.
Realizing quickly that the chest burster has already done its burster thing and bursted, Morrow isn't exactly happy with Raj.
I told you to come alone.
He's my best friend. You can't hurt him. You don't understand. Everything went wrong.
You know, that could have been a tagline for this entire production. Speaking of everything being wrong, Peter Pansexual has officially moved Sheepo Gorath to a secondary location in an attempt to communicate with it.
Because pi. It's the ratio of a circle's circumference.
Look, you fucking retard.
Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon.
Even operating under the insane assumption that every species in the universe uses the same method of calculating circumference, what makes your dumbass believe that this goddamn thing is going to understand our numeric symbols?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with an... I don't know.
That hasn't even always been the case here on Earth. Yes, nowadays we have a universal standard, but historically we've had several systems before this, many which were happening at the exact same time. Well, despite the complete idiocy of this supposed intelligence test, it's some the fuck how works. You know, if they put a sheet of paper below that, it could have been the script for the next episode. Since communicating via fecal matter isn't ideal, Peter decides that he needs a human host. So my suggestion would be that he does not get one from Mumbai.
One of the scientists, maybe? No, a mold scrubber.
Wait, that's what that fucking dude in the hallway was? A goddamn mold scrubber? They actually spent screen time showing us that shit? And for what exactly? They made it seem as that was going to be a big reveal at some point. Well, no matter, because Peter knows exactly who he wants to use.
I know just who to use.
Back out in the jungle, Joe, Wendy, and Carrot Top, despite going against all logic, get ambushed. I guess we're just supposed to forget that Wendy doesn't just have standard super hearing, she has extra special mega super hearing. But she just can't use it at this moment, apparently. Also, how the hell did they know to be at this exact spot?
Fuck if I know.
These three could have been coming from any direction. Seems incredibly lucky for the soldiers and the script that they just happened into this trap. Wendy attempts to warn the soldiers and Carrot Top hisses at them because why not? Before the Xeno is summoned to toss everyone's salad. We are then treated to close-up daylight shots of the most underwhelming xenomorph ever.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
I know there's a bit of history of the costumes not always being the best looking, but there's really no excuse here. This wasn't an issue due to budget restrictions, this was just terrible decision making. This thing looks fucking awful, and it's only made worse by choosing to set this scene during the daytime. But more on that later because Wendy has given it some commands.
What did you say to it?
Hide and follow. I think.
Somewhere else in the wilderness, the chestburster from earlier is found and captured. And pretty easily at that, considering their whole thing is to emerge and hide until maturity. There is no shortage of crevices, caves, and craters to conceal itself on this island. Why the hell is it just out wandering?
No fucking idea.
Morrow and his SEALs arrive at the main Prodigy facility where, wouldn't you know it, they too are ambushed.
I can't believe this, man. We suck.
Though this is really just a way for Billy Idlefit to flex on him by showing him his newly acquired pet.
Nobody likes a sore loser.
The Prodigy soldiers then beat the SEALs and Morrow senseless.
You two are grounded.
Out at the docks, the stupid trio arrive to attempt to leave. By the way, none of them know how this boat works. Only to be fucking ambushed. Again. At this point, I'm convinced that if you look up the definition of the word repetitive, a picture of this show would pop up.
Here, whoa, hey.
Where did they all come from? Hilariously, we're all meant to believe that this entire battalion was just casually hiding behind this goddamn crate. Joe attempts to defuse the situation by pleading with Rashidi and Black Russian to no avail. Carrot Top then taunts the soldiers with her stuffed animal, which leads to what I can only describe as a slight overreaction.
That escalated quickly.
Holy shit, redhead bitch crazy. Well, seeing as how there's really no turning back from that, Wendy and Carrot Top proceed to have a fist fight with the soldiers.
Somebody hit somebody!
This results in Black Russian pumping Carrot Top full of lead despite explicit orders to not shoot them under any circumstances. And because the internal rules of the synthetics are not exactly clear, Carrot Top is barely fazed by this. Carrot Top then grabs Black Russian, but before the former can thoroughly alter the eating habits of the latter, she is lit up by Joe with electricity.
No!
Now, at the risk of another mistake in my analysis involving electricity and conductors, I'm going to guess that these synthetics are not insulators as this worked on her. But this creates a huge problem with the small fact that she's fucking holding the person he's trying to save. This would have severely messed up Black Russian as well. Either way, Wendy isn't exactly happy with what just went down and screams at Joe as yet another out-of-place licensed song that I'll try to sneak into the video plays. Are you an aspiring electrician? Or perhaps you're just some weirdo who gets his rocks off by shocking his own balls? I ain't judging. Well, whether or not your interest in voltage and amperage is purely professional or recreational in nature, please remember safety first. And to help you understand the ins and outs of electrical currents, we at Wayland-Yutani are here to provide you with the necessary tools to make sure you don't die in a smoldering heap of now useless organs. Introducing our new how-to guide, Electricity, How Much is Too Much. With this handy book, you'll learn the exact levels required for whatever task is thrown your way. Whether it be restarting a heart, putting down a synthetic, or raising your own pole, by the time you're done reading, you'll know the bare minimums to be considered an electrical engineer for this company.
Biological survey.
No geology.
So visit our website today and request your free copy. Terms and conditions apply, but odds are you don't qualify and you'll be paying for this shit. And while you're there, check out some of our other award-winning how-to guides, such as Autoerotic Asphyxiation, the fine line between coming and going.
Kyle died accidentally while masturbating.
And become a self-proclaimed expert in whatever field you choose. The episode begins with the corpse of Spermy being feasted on by crustaceans. Don't worry, we've all been there, dead to the world on the beach, with crabs after you feel like your insides have been torn out. Oh, tequila. After the mood has been set, we're joined by the Xenomorph, who decides to have a stare down with one of our clawed friends as if they just weighed in for a UFC fight. Considering all the talk about Ice Age in this show, it's good to see that another Pixar character is getting a cameo.
Mine.
Seeing as how this particular dead body is already spoken for, the Xeno moves on, wandering through the forest, presumably to locate Wendy. But instead it finds Dr. Cougar Widow, who looks to be dressed as if she just got off of a boat from the old country. Now you might be asking yourself, what the hell is this woman doing out here since there's, you know, a deadly goddamn creature on the loose?
Who cares?
Well, with no lockdown or logic in place on this island, she has decided that this is the ideal time to go lay some flowers down on the gravestones.
It's just growing pains.
What? What did he say?
Look, bitch, I know your specialty is psychology, but I hate to break this to you. Dead bodies don't grow. But whatever helps you sleep at night knowing that you murdered 6 children. Turning around, she comes face to face with the second scariest thing that she'll see in this episode. Because she's integral to the plot, her armor is inches thick, and like several others before her, she's not immediately killed for some reason. Which of course gives a conveniently placed group of soldiers consisting of Rashidi and Black Russian enough time to save her dumbass. Hold on, rewind, show that shit again. Where the fuck did that bullet even come from? They're behind it. Are they curving the goddamn bullets now?
No, Sensei!
Do physics even exist on this island?
No, Sensei!
Does logic exist on this island?
No, Sensei!
Do bullets do any damage on this island?
No, Sensei!
Which is really lucky for Dr. Cougar Widow since she's 6 inches away from the thing with acid blood that would melt her face off. The Xeno once again runs off into the jungle, allowing Rashidi and Black Russian to give the most obvious briefing of all time.
It's not safe here, man.
No shit.
Why was she even allowed out here in the first fucking place? Especially when you account for the fact that you've been sending out heavily armed troops that keep getting unalived. I'm not sure if you're using the Zap Brannigan method.
I sent wave after wave of my own men at them.
But xenomorphs don't have a preset kill count. Wouldn't it make just a tiny bit more sense to, I don't know, take up a defensive position and wait? Not like we haven't seen this exact strategy work well before. Well, with that out of the way, let's check on some of the other retards of Special Needs Island, shall we? Mr. Clean suggests that Peter Pansexual evacuate, but since he's now obsessed with Sheepo Gorath, he refuses. Likely due to his false sense of security having officially imprisoned Joe, Morrow, and all of the hybrids, including Carrot Top, who has been brought back online for no apparent reason whatsoever. Actually, it makes you wonder why the hell they haven't just turned them off. It's been shown that you can do this. Why are you allowing the insubordinate angry children with superpowers to just hang around and plot your demise? Also, what happened to we can see and hear everything that they do? Was that also disabled? Why the fuck have you not turned these functions back on yet?
You ask a lot of questions.
But as we already know, failsafes are not only discouraged here, they might as well be outlawed. My favorite little tidbit is that they also locked up Wheels, who did absolutely nothing wrong.
I'm not even supposed to be here today!
I guess you forgot that she was on your side. Probably would have been a powerful ally that you have officially lost. Jerome asks her if she was the one who snitched on him and Raj, hilariously forgetting that Billy Idlefint let them out. So like, no one needed to say a word. You were carrying a body right out in the open, in front of a high-ranking official. As the conversation continues, Wendy informs the rest that they found their graves, which sparks a debate over whether or not they can die for, what, the 4th time now?
We can't die.
Isaac died.
That's not gonna happen to us.
It could have fly at his face.
This is of course not a disagreement that needed to be had. All they have to do is look around and count. They started as a group of 6, they are now 5, meaning one of them no longer exists. Whether or not you use the argument that he died during the transfer process, there is no disputing that existing is a requirement for life. Even after all that, Wheels is still insistent that she is indeed the favorite, to which Wendy points out a few facts about Peter Pansexual's favorite book.
In the book, Wendy Darling is Peter Pan's favorite. And then she grew up, and that made Peter mad. And so he kidnapped her daughter, Jane. We're all in this cell, because we can't be kids anymore.
We're all ghosts.
Which of course means that they need to be the ones doing the scaring. Ooh. Thus begins the part that can only be described as the 90s teen revenge comedy section of the episode, as the 5 of them split up to go get even with the specific people who wronged them, which is kicked off by Wendy using her insane technopath capability to boost her xenomorph control power in order to contact her friend in the jungle. Yeah, that ain't fucking broken at all. Billy Idlefint mentions that there is no need to worry as the lab is on its own system.
Is it now?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Even though Wendy hacked into it in the previous episode?
But is it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Peter Pansexual then flies into a fit over Morrow.
He came here to kill us all and steal our toys.
Ignoring Billy's suggestion to calm down and be smart, Peter continues to rant about Yutani with all the intimidation and aura of a 12-year-old rage quitting a Call of Duty match.
Let's fucking go!
Though it is confirmed that he indeed suffers from a psychological disorder.
Sir, a defining symptom of ADHD as severe as yours.
I'm sure this surprises absolutely no one. Wendy then begins to fuck around with the comm systems, interrupting Peter and Billy's little powwow, which further fuels the flames. Though there really is no reason to get this pissed. Just walk down to the lab like you've done 20 other times and talk to him, dude.
Morons. They're all morons.
Hey, shit-talking the showrunners is my job. At least now that we know that Peter suffers from ADHD, it makes sense of his tendency to just move on from major plot points very quickly without resolving them. Because he once again turns toward his obsession with Sheepo Gorath. Honestly, at this point, I think he should just rent a room.
Yes! Oh, yes!
Though I once heard that if you face them toward a cliff, they will push back.
Shut the fuck up! I was talking to the sheep!
Just saying, it's worth a shot.
Just to be safe, I think I'll feed you someone weak.
If only there were someone currently on this island who had the muscle mass of a prepubescent girl. But who could it be? Elsewhere in the compound, we see that Dr. Cougar Widow has successfully been led back to her office. It's here that she does what I assume everyone needed to do in order to get through this production. Get completely hammered. It's at this time that Wendy decides to fuck with her by playing recordings of their therapy sessions.
I might have superpowers. I'd really like to be invisible.
We'll be okay. Won't we? Won't we? Won't we?
Hey, that's fucked up.
Returning to the holding cells, we see Joe and Morrow, the latter of which has been fashioned with a nice cybernetic arm disabling canister. Why would they even need to have something like this in stock? This seems like an incredibly niche set of circumstances. Wouldn't it have been easier and more effective to just remove the arm altogether? And since Joe has the memory of a brain-dead goldfish, he asks Morrow about his recent whereabouts.
Were you really on that ship when it crashed? You shot me.
This question and statement combo do not compute with one another. If you know he's the one who shot you, you know he's one of the people who was on the ship. How does a mistake like this even get past the first draft phase?
I saved your life.
Can you please remind us exactly what he did? Now you'd expect me to freak out here, but I'm not going to. I see the 3D chess this guy is playing. That was just the old preemptive shocky pad thing. The soldiers continue to search the facility when an elevator randomly appears behind them, which, doesn't seem suspicious at all. But only Rashidi bothers to even question the convenience of the situation. Well, wouldn't you know it? It turns out that obvious trap was indeed a trap.
This elevator will explode in 30, 29.
What the fuck kind of elevator has a self-destruct function?
Fuck if I know.
What purpose could that even possibly serve?
I don't know.
Could you even imagine the conversation with the contractor?
Why are you asking so many questions?
I see here that you put in a request for an elevator that occasionally blows up. I mean, it's probably not going to be up to code, and I'm going to have to call my guy, but it's doable. May I ask why, though?
Well, you see, I really want to kidnap terminally ill children, transplant their brains into super powerful android bodies, and then taunt them till they want to kill me.
Okay, sir, say no more. Where it says reasoning, I'll just mark off that owner is retarded. But whether or not this was a true feature of the lift is irrelevant, as this was just Jerome fucking with them. Seeing as how it's been a while since Wendy had an internal or external conflict involving her brother, it would seem that it's about time that we had both simultaneously.
He shot Nibs.
Yeah, because she killed someone.
This is immediately followed by flashbacks of Joe reading a letter that was sent to him when she was still a human.
Dear Joe, I hope you're good. The mashed potatoes are pretty good. And the jello. Cherry's my favorite.
This would have been a nice emotional moment if it didn't feel cheap and unearned. You see, audience manipulation is a delicate balance, and this feels forced at this point in the script. Mostly because it's just a catalyst to have her progress the plot by opening the door for Joe and Morrow. Good thing they gave him a bludgeoning fist instead of just taking that shit off. Also, I love how they flat out rip off Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle here.
You better save the children, because I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Come on, Boogie, let's burn this motherfucker down!
Well, I guess his arsonist ways begin with attempting to get revenge on Billy Idlefant. First of all, why didn't he just walk in and shoot him from a distance? That's what guns were invented for. If you don't like someone who's over there, blam! No more person over there. Second, if Billy could tell that Morrow entered the room, why the fuck did he wait so long to react? Well, since guns are apparently the least effective method of murder in this universe, they decide to have a fist fight.
I can't believe this, man. We suck.
One that there is no way Morrow could possibly win, but let's just ignore that because somehow he breaks Billy's back.
It's pain time, baby! Woo!
But because Morrow went to the cliché school of villainy, he decides that now is the ideal time to monologue.
You know the story of John Henry and his 10-pound hammers?
Fighting the machine who can dig deeper, faster. In the end, man will always win. It's a question of will.
Why would you base your triumph speech on a guy who died in his own story? And one who was fighting against a machine at that? This brief moment of retardation gives Billy the opportunity to knock Morrow over and choke him unconscious with the worst arm triangle I've ever seen. But I'll let that slide because he is literally a robot. However, one thing I can't forgive is the fact that Billy could just kill him right now and chooses not to. This might be a first time in screenwriting history, a double pacifist run. And just when you thought you had seen the dumbest shit possible with this show, along comes Peter Pansexual with his one lone guard to taunt the pissed off super friends who control the computer system. Being a fellow alumni of CSV, he also decides to monologue at the worst possible time.
Who am I supposed to play with?
Motherfucker, you look dirty.
He then channels his inner Heath Ledger Joker.
When I was little, my daddy was a drunk.
My father was a drinker and a fiend.
Revealing that he built Mr. Clean and used him to kill his father, which actually is the first good plot twist of the entire show. Since he loves the sound of his own voice, he continues waxing poetic about his own genius and the fact that the hybrids belong to him.
Of course. You do. Sweeties, you're floor models.
Continuing to expose himself as someone who should be on several lists, he idiotically walks directly into the cell with the 5 murder bots, who proceed to kill his only guard before deciding to let him play one last game of hide and seek.
hell was that?
You know what, come to think of it, we actually haven't seen Mr. Clean in a while. I wonder what he's doing. Turns out he's just creepily hiding in Wendy's room waiting for Joe, with the goal of tricking him into yet another trap, which I'm assuming is just a really good guess on his part since no one knows that Joe was let out of his cell.
Mr. Cavalier asked me to find you personally. Your sister is with him. This way. I think you'll like what he has to say.
This dude clearly ate lead paint chips as a child. Because this episode can't sit still for more than 20 seconds, let's check in on Dr. Cougar Widow. Since she has the awareness of Helen Keller, she doesn't notice Carrot Top descending into her office. Wait, where the fuck did she even drop from exactly?
No fucking idea.
I'm pretty certain in previous episodes they showed a chandelier right there. Well, either way, the Ginger Reaper then goes on to steal a scene directly out of Smile.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, God!
Yeah! The second soulless killing machine she encountered today. In the lab, we see Raj and Jerome approach Billy Idlefint on the ground after having his back blown out by Morrow.
Where were you 10 minutes ago?
This line actually got me to chuckle. That happened only a few times, and unsurprisingly, it was always Timothy Oliphant. One thing that's unclear is exactly why he's completely paralyzed here. He's an android. Human spine rules shouldn't apply. Well, since he can't move, the two hybrids hogtie him to Morrow, who reveals to Raj that he didn't hurt his mother. Well, no shit, you've been locked up here. But just for good measure, Raj hits him so hard in the face with a metal canister that it should have fucking killed him. Mr. Clean takes Joe to Peter Pansexual's room, where to the shock of absolutely no one, he's double-crossed. Just as it seems he's gonna have his eye socket fucked by Shuma Gorath, Wendy crashes the party to save him. Mr. Clean grabs Wendy and tosses her ass about 20 feet into a wall, and I'll give you one guess as to what he does next.
I don't know.
Go on, it's pretty obvious.
I don't know.
Did you say monologue? Because you would be absolutely the fuck right.
I told him it was a waste of technology. An eternity of, are we there yet?
He's out of line, but he's right.
But after all that, the fight comes to a rather anticlimactic end when Wendy remembers that she could control machines and locks him down. Boring. She then punts Shuma Gorath, who ends up escaping into a conveniently small eyeball creature-sized drain in the middle of a bedroom. Joe apologizes for electrocuting Carrot Top, despite the fact it was non-lethal and she was literally about to roadhouse throat rip the shit out of someone he cared about. But you know what? He was definitely in the wrong here.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
Wendy then goes on to say that she identifies with the aliens because they are honest, unlike selfish humans.
We're food to them.
No, you're food to them.
Speaking of selfish humans, Peter Pansexual is busy skipping around the facility as if he's unaware that there's not only pissed off androids after him, but there's also a ton of deadly aliens. ADHD is really something, isn't it? He then uses his radio to offer a bounty on Wendy, which would be great if 97% of his soldiers weren't already dead. On his way to get the fuck out of here, he finds himself in the very location you always want to end up, a darkened corridor.
This is advanced darkness.
And I guess he must have felt his asshole tighten because out of nowhere the xenomorph appears right in front of him.
Surprise, motherfucker!
But if the swinger community has taught us anything, it's not really a party until others show up. As not only do Wendy and Joe arrive, but so do the remaining nameless cannon fodder security team. I'm not even gonna question why they're not shooting him anymore. You win, script, just kill whoever you want. Well, as the xenomorph turns that group of NPCs into his next set of alien turds, Joe does the first and only masculine thing he does in the entire series. In the lab, fresh off of their Helevator experience, Black Russian, Rashidi, and crew are looking for something, when Black Russian notices movement above her head. Why the fuck didn't she move? There was a good 5 seconds to react and she just stood there like a goober. I'm sure at least some of you can recall a time in your life where a spider or something was descending from above you. What was your immediate reaction? Because surely it wasn't to just stand there and get fucking eaten alive. Oh, and by the way, Rashidi gets captured by Wheels. Out on the beach, we see a still very dead corpse of Spermy when Shuma Gorath, who covered a shit ton of ground, might I add, slithers up and plants himself inside of one of the dead eye sockets, effectively bringing him back to life.
Welcome back to that same old place.
As shit keeps going south, we see that off in the distance, Yutani has sent an entire goddamn army to the island. Which raises the question as to why she didn't just start with this shit in the first place. Especially since her special forces are now dead and her cyborg security guard is in a containment cell with her worst enemies. A containment cell where Wendy makes one of the dumbest statements you'll hear today.
You think you're a good person who did good things. All you did is put 6 children in the ground.
You know, I don't feel like I should have to be the one to break the bad news here. But here it goes. You were all gonna fucking die anyway. You had terminal illnesses. She then turns her ire toward Peter Pansexual.
You were never a boy. You've always been a man. A mean, angry little man.
Hey, being a person who has frequently said as a kid I was more like a grumpy old man, I'm offended that you placed me in the same category as this creeper. Wendy then looks defiantly directly into the camera with that same blank, emotionless stare she's used about 24 other times in this show and declares,
"Now we rule."
As the episode fades to black and Pearl Jam's Animal sneaks in at the last second. Wait a minute! You're telling me after all that, all we're gonna get is a shitty cliffhanger? Seriously? Okay, what the hell? After 8 episodes of inconsistent, herky-jerky, and downright nonsensical garbage, these motherfuckers don't even have the decency to settle anything. These showrunners have some serious egos if they think that the product that they put forward is assured any type of continuation.
That took balls.
I wish that I could have the type of confidence in life that these retards are showing in their own mediocrity. Anyway, let's try to end this video like a human. Calmly. What I'm trying to say is that season 1 of a series, much like a movie, should always be a mostly self-contained narrative with maybe 1 or 2 avenues for plot progression if you get renewed. Take the original Star Wars, for instance. With the benefit of hindsight, we obviously know that the story didn't end with the destruction of the Death Star. Darth Vader was jettisoned into space with no guarantee he'd survive, and if this was a single movie with no sequels, it would have been a complete story. But there was just enough there to leave us wondering what if. But here, every single plot thread has been left open-ended, meaning if this doesn't get picked up for season 2, nothing is resolved. But seriously, why would the network even want to greenlight another season of this overpriced, incompetent pile of dog shit? In regards to the production quality, there's been a significant drop-off as we progress further into the series. The first few episodes looked fairly good. Sure, there were some flaws and sometimes things looked cheap, but it wasn't so egregious that it took you out of everything. However, a combination of what I can only assume was wasting the budget early on, probably not aided by the pointless licensed music, and piss-poor choices such as a xenomorph in the daytime made it hard to ignore how bad this shit looked in the later episodes. I mean, seriously, look at this thing's head and tell me it doesn't look like a goddamn bratwurst. This wasn't the only hint that they were cutting corners, by the way. As the show continued, there was an over-reliance on flashbacks, increasing in frequency seemingly to pad the runtime. Either that or the word assemblers had such little trust in their own script that they felt the audience would need constant reminders of key plot points. Whichever one it is, though, does not excuse the prevalence of recycled material. So for this video, I've decided to do something I've always considered but didn't really have the right project for. And that's to highlight what I would change to improve this show. But some ground rules. I can't just simply say that I'd rewrite the entire thing with a brand new set of characters and storylines. I must base all changes on something that already exists. With that said, let's give it a shot. First things first, I would change the name of the show. It's obvious that slapping the Alien branding onto this was a marketing tactic to tap into an existing fan base. Clearly it's set in the same universe, but the xenomorphs are an afterthought thrown in for familiarity's sake. Really at its core, this was a series about the hybrids and Prodigy, which are new additions to the lore. So with that in mind, the title should have just been Prodigy, about an upstart company upsetting the apple cart of the status quo, highlighting that there's other powerful corporations that control parts of the world, but not dropping Weyland-Yutani's name until a few episodes in, giving the audience the necessary time to connect with the new before adding the old. The addition of Prodigy actually does create some issues in itself. Not only are they utilizing technology far more advanced than anything we've seen before in the franchise, but we've also never heard of them. Not even a passing mention about this crazy youngin' and his android revolution. Luckily, there's a solution to both of these problems. Simply by sliding it up the timeline into the gap between Alien 3 and Resurrection, it not only eliminates continuity errors, but gives us a window where Prodigy could have risen in the wake of Weyland-Yutani wasting a ton of resources on xenomorph acquisition. Speaking of Weyland-Yutani, I would keep the mission to gather specimens of other deadly species such as Shumagorath and the Super Ticks, but remove the xenomorphs from this equation. For the most part, these species were underutilized and in some cases even forgotten completely. The removal of the xenomorphs allows Weyland-Yutani to be less of a one-trick pony, as they would be attempting to diversify their biological division, while simultaneously giving more screen time to these other species. This inevitably brings us to the Maginot. We would still have the crash occur, but instead of having the opening that was a near shot-for-shot ripoff of the first film, the very first scene of the show would be the ship unexpectedly and without explanation entering our atmosphere, kicking off the events of the main story and keeping the circumstances of the Maginot's fate a mystery until the very last episode. effectively repurposing episode 5 as a finale and epilogue to finally give us the missing pieces of the puzzle. Another big flaw was the character development. There are long tracks of time where people just flat out disappear from the narrative, only to be brought back and have their story fast-tracked. To cut down on this, several of them will be merged. Obviously the main character is Wendy, so she gets a bulk of the screen time and is, for what it's worth, the most fleshed out of the hybrids. Because of this, I'll be folding aspects of both TBD, also known as Isaac, and Raj, aka Arush, into her character. By adding Isaac's yearning for liberation, which was only briefly played with, Wendy gains an added layer that really doesn't show up till the very end much sooner. And by including Arush's willingness to do anything to protect his family, we see even more reason for her to rebel against her creators. The other synthetics will be merged into one, taking all of their flaws and creating a failed yet loyal experiment, and the perfect antagonist. The base would be Wheels, otherwise called Curly or Jane, as there was a hint of a rivalry that went absolutely nowhere. She already has the built-in motivation of jealousy over not being the favorite, but when coupled with the feeling of being abandoned by one's best friend, which was displayed by Smee, whom I called Jerome, you actually provide her with an MO on multiple levels. When you also bring to the table the malfunctioning programming of Carrot Top, you have all the necessary components for a perfect storm of an insane vindictive machine. There were a few smaller changes I mentioned in previous videos that could be added here as well, such as Morrow's daughter dying before his 65-year journey, giving it more justification than just money, and also adding a bit of build-up toward Wendy's reveal to Joe that she's his sister. These don't fundamentally change these characters, but they do iron out a few wrinkles in their respective plot threads. So did this show give us a happy ending? No. Honestly, it has no conclusion at all. It's clear that going into this, the showrunners were so concerned with setting up for more, they didn't bother to create any satisfying endpoints for even a single storyline, making this the narrative equivalent of Blue Balls. It's a show where a lot of shit happened, none of it really mattered, and it's all going to be forgotten by everyone, including the production staff. And that's if they even cared to begin with. Obviously, everyone involved believes that this dumpster fire is going to get renewed, but as of the recording of this video, no announcements have been made. And considering the fact that it has a reported budget of somewhere around $250 million... Wait, that can't be fucking right. Yeah, holy shit it is! And if that extremely expensive revelation doesn't convince you that there's no way in hell that season 2 of this shit ever happens, I don't know what to tell you.